Okay, so that means we can start streaming. We have started streaming. I know. We're streaming now.
Yay! Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. How is everyone today on this fine Sunday evening for us, or Sunday morning for plenty of other people?
Yup.
What's everyone been up to this week? Who's still playing the Zodiac Age? That's what I want to know. It's been 2 weeks now since it's been out. We're still playing the Zodiac Age.
I know. I need to get back into it. I've just been sort of going in and out. Hi, Lewis James. Hello, Rachel as well, and Mike and James and Steven Del Churro. Your chat's broken?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Let's see.
As Ellie says, oh dear.
There we go.
There we go.
I think.
Although it's not going the whole down.
Sorted.
There you go. Sorted, bruv.
The illusion has been ruined.
I know. You could actually see my arm. This arm.
You have an arm.
I know.
Yeah, so welcome everyone to this week's stream. Apologies for the initial hiccup there while we started. It wasn't intentional. For some reason, whatever, the chat broke. Hopefully it starts working now. So today we are going to be talking about Final Fantasy VIII, and specifically why it's so great. Because if you don't know, it's Lauren's.
Wow.
No, wait, you've changed, haven't you? It was your favorite game for a very long time.
Yeah, it was.
Now it's your
my
second
first.
or third favorite.
Well, yeah, no, I go back and forth. But Final Fantasy VIII is one of my top three. I just love it. My heart. That's what I always say. My heart is with 8. I think. Or is my heart with 10? My heart is with 10 or 8. Yeah.
Welcome, Lee. Welcome.
Welcome, Lee.
You seem very excited to be here, which is great.
Yes.
We're excited too.
Yes.
Because we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, obviously Final Fantasy VIII was my second Final Fantasy, unlike you, where it's the first.
It was my
so
first.
was it the game where you played the ending first?
No.
No, you played from start to finish. Didn't spoil the story for yourself.
The only thing I had spoiled for me was, like, kind of spoiled, was one day my brother was playing through the Dollop mission. But that's not really a spoiler, is it?
It's like the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so I saw with the whole thing with Quistis, and I was sold, because Quistis just looks so awesome with her machine gun. I know, I just like, what is this game? This is awesome. And then I saw it in a Sam Goody later down the line, which is when I bought Final Fantasy VIII.
Final Fantasy VIII was actually the first game that I was seriously excited for, but it all went kind of strange in the way it worked. So I don't know, it's like back in those days, like with video games, and I don't know what you guys were like in your kind of teenage years, let's say, but like the media wasn't so crazy these days. Like the internet wasn't, it was around, but it wasn't so prevalent. And so I knew that I played Final Fantasy VIII, VII. I knew that Final Fantasy VIII was coming out at some point. Had no idea when. I had got a PlayStation magazine, played the Final Fantasy VIII demo from that, but within, like, no one ever talked about release dates or anything like that. I had literally no idea when it was coming out. And my friend just suddenly randomly said, was like, are you going to get Final Fantasy VIII because it came out last week?
Yeah.
I was just like, what do you mean it came out last week? Like, of course I'm going to get it. So I absolutely, like, I got on my bike, just rode straight down to the store, picked up like the then collector's edition of the game, went straight back home and just played the crap out of it.
Yeah, I definitely, I got through most of Final Fantasy VIII, and then I got to a point where I was trying to look for the White Seed ship, and then I had to put it away for a while because I couldn't find this stupid ship. Yeah. But Rachel, that's funny. How did you, I guess you were playing a friend's save or something in Ultimecia's castle? But yeah, I had a similar experience, Lewis James. I didn't know anybody playing through Final Fantasy. like any Final Fantasy games in school.
Whereas I was the opposite. Like, we used to go to the library during like lunchtime and stuff, and just like scroll through the strategy guides. We used to kind of look at all the different enemies that we were going to have upcoming, that we were going to fight against. Like, we didn't necessarily go through the story stuff, like there's really too much contained in it, but it was mostly like looking at all the stats of the enemies and like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I had a little group of friends. We used to hang out in the library.
And hi, Alex, Drax, and Yakov. But yeah, no, the Gunblade was where it was at. Like, the Gunblade was just so freaking cool.
The thing I loved about the Gunblade was the fact that even if you had like status things like blind inflicted on you, you could still do damage with it. So it wasn't like if you were fighting against a Marlborough, for example, you could still get through it because you could still use the Gunblades to deal damage if you were paying attention.
Yeah. And as for where I would rank Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack, I mean, it's pretty much my favorite soundtrack. I mean, for battle music especially, it's like well up there. Like, I think it definitely is it's definitely the Final Fantasy game, in my opinion, to have the best battle music. They just let Nobuo Uematsu just go for it. Just prog rock it all the way. So good.
I like 15's battle music.
I know, you do. It's because you have the Metal Gear Solid in the back of your head.
That's true. Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack is the first soundtrack I actually bought, imported from Japan. I really like the fact that they kept consistent themes throughout, and it was a very different styled soundtrack to Final Fantasy VII as well, which was quite interesting for me because the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is obviously like so recognizable, but Final Fantasy VIII was just such a different feel, different vibe. Like, there were tracks that were much longer, more consistent, and I always like the landing was just such a fantastic piece of music to have like right towards the start of the game. I mean, you even go into the game with Liberi Fatali, which you know, compared
what an
to
opening.
I mean, like, Final Fantasy VIII's opening is great, the opening bombing mission, but it's nowhere near like the same as Liberi Fatali.
No,
like,
that was,
going
like,
straight in with
so
the choir,
epic.
like the amazing cutscene.
And I mean, yeah, like, I can't choose a favorite track from the game, really. It's really hard. But with the junction system, yeah, I know. Recently, it seems to be the trend that everybody hates the Final Fantasy VIII junction system, and I didn't really find anything that bad with it. Like,
what for the people that don't like the junctioning system, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
And just for everyone's reference here, I know that there are a considerable amount of people that think that Ito is the greatest thing to ever touch the Final Fantasy franchise. He came up with the junction system.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
so
Ito did come up with the junction system. So anybody who's Ito holics, yeah, he came up with the junction system. But yeah, I don't know, favorite tracks. I mean, Man with the Machine Gun is fantastic, but I always had a really big heart for Maybe I'm a Lion. Maybe I'm a Lion is such an awesome track, especially when you're coming off of the major sort of chorusy track with your first fight against Ultimecia, and then you go into like the drum beat with Maybe I'm a Lion. Like, it's just so awesome. That whole sequence is just boss. So boss.
I remember because like the only real way that you could listen to the soundtrack apart from importing from Japan was to listen to MIDI files. If you didn't want to listen to, I mean, you couldn't listen to that on repeat in the game. You had to listen to MIDI files, and the MIDI file for that soundtrack was so
Oh, really?
That piece of music, it was like, you know, the Black Mage Village in Final Fantasy IX, where it had like that kind of whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
It like played that a lot of the time during that.
Oh my god. But no. I guess.
But then,
like
the Ice Ninja, you
fine.
could say the same about pretty much any system. Like, any system that's in any game can be broken. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of the junction system. Like, you have to make the trade-off in terms of whether you want to use magic or not. You want to junction it.
I mean, the materia system.
Yeah.
The materia system, all you can do, like, you just do the W.
Well, yeah, you can glitch stuff like, or, I mean, junctioning, to glitch the junctioning, you have to go around and actually collect all the magic. Like it's a time sink if you want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's the same
Like
for materia.
anything.
You could just max out the materia, get AP, and get more materia. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
And it doesn't really make the game that much easier. Like, I mean, it does make it easier, but it doesn't make it easy because, like, I still had, a bit of trouble with a mega weapon when I went up against him, and he didn't really get to the good draws until you
So
had
got
the airship,
Yeah. When you
which
can
is
go to
later
the
in the game.
Island closest to heaven and
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
Favorite character in Final Fantasy VIII?
Squall.
Yeah, but why?
I just like him. I just like his sass. I just got to like Squall. I think that he's cool because he's just such a leader.
Well, I'd say he's like an accidental leader, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
but
one of
he
those
takes
people
it
that
with-
that
It
he
takes
just
it
kind
in
of
his stride.
he doesn't want the responsibility, but the way they wrote the story, it makes sense for him to step up. Because if you think about the rest of the cast of characters, they're kind of all losers.
Yeah.
Like Irvine is like he's all show. Zell is basically a chicken wuss who like he just rises to every single piece of baiting. Selfie is really downbeat. Renoa doesn't really know what she's doing. Quistis has real like self-confidence issues.
The whatever thing is actually really interesting. I don't know if anybody's seen, I forget where you found it, but there's actually been a whole thing that's come out where basically like the translation between Japan and English was like massively
Not massively different.
well, a
but
bit rushed. Like, so basically most of the times that you see Squall say whatever, he's actually saying something almost completely different in Japanese. So
yeah, I mean, there was a couple of times where, so like the one I can remember off the top of my head was during the initial mission to try and get Ifrit, where you go along with Quistis, and she's saying how like, usually at this point, the male students that I'm with get a bit flustered and fail. And in the English version, he's just like, yeah, whatever. Whereas in the Japanese version, he's just like, you probably should, like, you shouldn't be saying that, you're a teacher.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And like stuff with Renoa, like times where he says whatever, like he's actually saying something like "you're annoying."
yeah, or like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry is his catchphrase in Japan. I'm sorry. I love Laguna. Like Laguna is Laguna, yeah. No, he probably is my favorite. He's just
But he's a bit
so
of a douche.
gorgeous. He is a bit because he leaves Rain, doesn't he? But he's just so cute.
And I did hear about the guy who got the plastic surgery. Didn't he spend like 50 grand or
Yeah,
something?
something crazy like that.
And then from the picture I saw on my Facebook feed, he still didn't look that much like Squall.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's his money. If he wants to spend it on making himself look like Squall.
Hey
more-
Vicky,
more power
welcome.
to him.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah. I mean, he was based off, well, from Nomura's point of view, he was based off of a famous actor, which was River Phoenix. So his look was attainable.
Yeah.
Obtainable. But some people think he looks a little bit like Christian, a young Christian Slater as well. But he was definitely based off of River
Well, no,
Phoenix.
there was the whole thing about Gact.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing about Gact too.
Gact basically went public and said that.
Gact was just like
like,
Squall is totally based off of me.
and then Mura was like, well, actually, he's not, and
He's
here's
based
why.
off of River Phoenix.
It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it?
I mean, there's a part. Oh, sorry. There's a part of like, Gact kind of does look like every Final Fantasy character, but I think that's just because he has a perfectly chiseled face and gorgeous hair and
He's Gact.
body. He's just Gact.
And of course, he is Genesis.
Yes.
Rhapsodos.
G.
So, like, if you guys had to nail down one specific part of Final Fantasy VIII that you felt was like your favorite aspect of it, whether it's the story, the characters, the gameplay, the music, like what's your favorite aspect of Final Fantasy VIII out of everything that kind of makes it into the package that it is? What would you say your bit is?
Say it again. I was paying attention to the who would you guys look like if you had to choose?
Which would be your favorite aspect of Final Fantasy VIII? Like whether it's the gameplay, the music, or
I guess the thing that I do get really excited for is the music of Final Fantasy VIII, just because like the music really just sort of carries me through, and I do have bits of the stories. Like there's certain moments in Final Fantasy VIII that I just really love and love going back to. Adult Mission is great. I mean, the whole thing with the parade is fantastic. You know, there's a lot of story sequences that are really memorable in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking, like the bit I loved about Final Fantasy VIII was the set pieces.
Yeah.
Because like the FMVs in Final Fantasy VIII were so great at the time, and for years beyond. Like it looked better than most the FMVs in Final Fantasy VIII looked better than most PS2 games. And they were like, we always talk about it, but the sequence where you're fighting between the two gardens, and you have to get the suit, and then you have to get Renoa, and then you run across the battlefield while everything's going on. That was so genius, and I love the way that they integrated like the craziness and the calm. Like whenever there is like a massive mega sequence, they always have that calm afterwards.
Yeah.
So like whether it's the opening between Squall and Tifa, and then it's just like goes to you're in a hospital bed, like perfectly calm, or like after the garden invasion, you get into Galbadia Garden and you're inside and it's just very quiet. There's no one around. And what was another one? Like the parade is kind of another one. Like massive build up, and then you waking up in a prison. Like they did it so well, where they just built it up, built, and then they just stopped.
Back down.
And then you just kind of have to do something else and work your way towards something else again.
I mean, the fact that like after the big thing of the parade, also like is that between discs where you end up in Laguna? Or are you Laguna in the next disc? I think you are in the beginning of the next disc.
Not sure.
You might be. But that was the thing as well, like the sort of random moments in the game where you just went back in time to be Laguna. Like I just thought it was just so cool.
But that, like, I mean, like the ending of disc 1, disc 1 of Final Fantasy VIII is, to me, perfect Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like it is everything I could possibly want from a game. Like the end of disc 1 was so amazing. Like everything built up to that assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And then everything, like, there's so much going on, because obviously you get this. The way they introduce the characters as well, like Irvine's this like mystery sniper guy who's like the hot shot, and then he has his whole panic stations, and then Squall has to talk him up to actually firing the shot. He does. It's like a perfect shot, but it misses, and then he's like in pieces because it all goes wrong. And Squall's like, F this, guys, and just does his massive like crazy, I'm gonna get in a car, I'm gonna just go ramming straight at her, and then just gets the crap beaten out of him. Yeah. Like that whole sequence was just so epic. I mean, after that, I think like the game, it didn't necessarily
live up.
It didn't manage to sustain that. But I mean, that's not to say it's bad. But like disc 1 of Final Fantasy VIII is just so perfect in so many ways to me.
I mean, the whole thing with like even just going on Galbadia and fighting Adia on Galbadia, like that was pretty awesome. I still can remember her breaking through the glass at the top of the auditorium or wherever they are when they fight her, and it's just all so cool. And but yeah, there's so many moments within Final Fantasy VIII that you can just think of like that was great. That was a great moment. And it doesn't ever get, the only part where I felt like really uncomfortable was maybe with like Renoa being possessed in space. I remember being really unsettled by that.
Yeah, I mean, like, but
like there wasn't a lot of other parts in the game where I felt like I'm really uncomfortable right now.
I mean, like, that's the thing with Final Fantasy. I mean, it's why the Squall is Dead theory has so much traction, because the game is so crazy. Yeah. Like, I mean, other games have that kind of sense of weirdness about them, and I think if you took the Final Fantasy VII compilation as a whole, then you'd have a similar vibe. and Final Fantasy IX kind of has the same thing, but Final Fantasy VIII story goes from here like absolutely everywhere, and like probably every like half an hour, like couple of hours, you're just like, what's happening now? Like,
Yeah.
I still remember that you spend all the time in the gardens, and then all of a sudden you go down the floor, and there's this random Shumi guy down there who's evil.
Yeah.
And then the garden flies. You're going to missile silos to try and prevent attacks. Yeah, you're going into like this massive futuristic city in the middle of nowhere. Like,
I remember that being really intense for me. The missile mission. Because,
you can fail.
Yeah, well, there's that, and like, the fact that like I sent all of the girls there. So I sent Renoa, Quistis, and
because you could end up sending all your crap people over to that area, and then you're just kind of a little bit screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember that moment and being like, wait, what the hell just happened? Like, wait, are they okay? Like, did they die?
And yeah, like even that scene, there's that kind of climax because the missiles land, and then you see the garden kind of just fade out.
I know. Oh, it's just such an intense moment.
But yeah,
Sophie. Sophie hit all the buttons.
There's just like so many weird parts to the game, like when you go to Trebia Garden.
Or when you just see like the Moombas. Moombas for the first time.
The Shumi village. Like, yeah, Esther is just crazy, and then you just keep finding out all these random things everywhere. It's like, oh, by the way, Laguna like went over to this place, and then there's a lunatic Pandora which just comes from nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we had this thing in place where actually the moon is inhabited by loads of enemies or loads of random monsters, and if this happens, then they all get pulled down to the planet. Okay, great.
But yeah, no, I mean, I just remember always just loving so much of what Final Fantasy VIII had in store. And I loved that there was so much that you could explore by yourself as well. Like, you could go off and try to get Bahamut by yourself, and you didn't have to... It wasn't sort of connected to the story, but it was nice that you had the extra stuff and, like, poo-poo and that kind of thing.
To me, it was an open world game done correctly, because I felt like I wanted to do more stuff in the world. I felt like I wanted to kind of explore a little bit because it was so different. Whereas, like, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII didn't really draw me in that much into like. Well,
you had to sort of go to everything, couldn't you?
Kind of, but there was
like I guess
you didn't have to go to Wutai and like stuff. There was additional stuff you could do, but like Final Fantasy VIII, I don't know why it just kind of drew me in. I wanted to explore different parts of it. Like it's the only game to date still where I have done everything you possibly can do, and it took me about 150 hours to do it. I remember it was crazy because your clock goes red after you hit the 100-hour mark. But yeah, I worked my arse off to get to the point where I could legitimately beat Omega Weapon.
Yeah.
I did all like the underground lab stuff.
Yeah.
Like I did the poo-poo missions. I did all the Chocobo stuff. Like I loved doing it in that game.
Yeah.
And it's just the systems all just kind of worked well to. Like, the grinding didn't really seem like that big of a deal as well, because it was just 1,000 experience to level up every time. And
I know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the leveling up, and that I think that's what kind of threw me off with the later games, was when like I just had to grind and be bored just fighting enemies over and over and over again. And I was just like, oh, I'm done. I'm over.
I think someone asked us who our favourite character was, which we said Squall, but who's your favourite character?
Yeah, who are you guys' favourite characters?
And you don't necessarily have to list the main cast either. The characters like Watt, Zone, Angelo. Angelo's great.
Yeah, Angelo.
I'm a true seed.
Good
I'm
job,
a true seed.
You are a true seed. I
did pass the seed exam.
Yes, I did. I cheated.
You cheated?
I found all the answers online.
How dare you?
I know. I was just lazy. I was just like, I don't want to have to do anything.
I'll tell you what, though. So, with regards to like a Final Fantasy VIII remake, I think that game would work so well as a remake because the combat styles for the characters are so different, and they all have such completely different weaponry. Like it's just, it doesn't really kind of fit with the typical jobs that you would associate with the other characters, like in other games. I think like Final Fantasy VIII is so weird, and like the systems they implemented, I think would make it so much better. Like Squall's Gunblade, like there was already kind of like feedback integrated into a lot of the combat system. Like they all had their own individual mechanics. Like I love the fact that you had to like time the stuff for Squall's limit breaks. Like Irvine's was like firing the trigger as quickly as you could. You had Zell's where like, but when I was doing a mega weapon, I could like I memorized the loops of the different moves that you could do, so that I could typically do 5 moves per second. And if you got like a 12-second limit break, you could do hundreds of thousands of damage. It was amazing. Like there were like all these different little nuances. What's going on?
Somebody said that they who was it? Moth Cub said they named Angelo Butt so that she could do butt search. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, no, Quistis is awesome. I do love Quistis.
But is it Quistis or Keistis?
I said Quistis initially.
I think it is Quistis, right?
I don't know.
I think in World of Final Fantasy she's called Quistis.
Is she called Quistis in that?
I think so.
But no, I do love Quistis. I just think she's so cute. Ain't no reaver. I'm done. I'm over.
That was the one thing I didn't like about the game in terms of like the limits. So like if you're going into it, it's like kind of like the Zodiac Spear thing. Like when you're playing through the game, you're like, I need to get everything. I need to get all of Squall's weapons. I need to get all of Angelo's whatever they are. Like the dog books.
Yeah.
So I can learn all the limit breaks.
Yeah,
and it's detrimental because if you didn't learn them all, then the probability of doing the good ones would be increased.
Yeah, exactly. Which I didn't really know. Like that was the thing when I did when I first played Final Fantasy VIII, as it was my first Final Fantasy game and I had no one to talk to about it, I just legitimately did the bare minimum. Like I didn't really do that much in it at all. I had no one to talk to about like what to do or how to do it. So like I basically skipped everything. And it wasn't until I played it on Steam like recently, maybe a couple of years back, that I was just like, I want to do every single possible thing. And it was such a different experience. But yeah, somebody was saying about Sentra and like that. I remember my first playthrough, I did go there accidentally, and I got really scared and I ran back out. It was just like, you have this much time to go to get Bahamut or whatever, and I was just like, no, I don't have that much time. I'm running away.
But yeah, I mean, someone mentioned License to Bill mentioned the Gilgamesh moment. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was like really cool.
Like Sifa was basically just this pain in the ass the whole time, but like towards like that moment, it's the end of disc 3, right?
Yeah.
He suddenly is just like, no, I'm serious about this. Like I'm not mucking around. And Odin kind of comes out and he's like, okay. I'll take your Odin and I'll beat the crap out of it.
Yeah. I turn back on. Is it dead?
It may be. No. It's not on.
No, it's dead.
What's going on? No. There you go.
Yay! We're back.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
But we're back.
Is the Gilgamesh thing optional?
What if you don't have Odin?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
And welcome, Hero Valentine. I'm extremely glad that you have managed to find the stream where we're talking about Final Fantasy VIII and how amazing it is.
Yes. because it doesn't get enough love, to be fair.
I think so. Like recently, because Final Fantasy XII has been kind of riding this crest of amazingness, Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy X have basically just been getting shafted, and I don't know why that is. Like they didn't suddenly become bad games. Vicky, I absolutely loved. This is the only game where I actually used GFs. I think all of the other games I have never used summons, espers, whatever. Even with the Zodiac Age right now, like I'm just about to go to Pharos. The only time I've ever used an esper is to get through the door in the Feywood. Like I've not even bothered. They're completely useless. Whereas in Final Fantasy VIII, actually no, I tell a lie. I did use them in Final Fantasy X. But in Final Fantasy VIII, I actively used them because of the boost, and Eden also could do break damage, which was amazing.
How are we doing today? We're doing okay. I'm very, very tired, but we're doing okay. We normally are this tired, to be fair.
And Hero Valentine, yes, we do this stream weekly, in fact.
Yes.
This time, every single week, we talk about numerous things. This week we were talking about Final Fantasy VIII. Last week we talked about the wonderful Tetsuya Nomura. I can't remember anything we talked about before that. And yes, Rachel, I did do that. Because I remember when you get out of the... if you manage to go back to the main world from Ultima Sears Castle, everything's locked out.
Yeah.
But you have to like get the chocobos to run around the village and everything. It's weird.
Yeah, the boost spam was awesome.
Oh, thank you, Sir Babon.
Oh, thank you.
It was a lovely joint effort between the two of us. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to work now on the next video, which I think, as I mentioned, is going to be talking about the Final Fantasy XV universe. That's going to be interesting. It's
they
always
did in a way, like Alex. It's funny because like there's so many times where like you do one hit to an enemy, and then the summon will just come in or just be like, hey, I'm here. I can help, and I'm just like, no, summon. I don't need you right now. You're a bit too helpful. So I do think that like the forced using in Final Fantasy 15 is you know, it does make them more useful, I guess, in some ways, but in other ways,
but they
just
usually
like,
just come in at the end of fights when it's just like there's no point. Oh, Triple Triad. How have we not talked about that yet?
Oh, Triple Triad. Oh, it's so great. Such a great freaking game. Actually, that is something that I also would, I actually, glitched quite considerably.
Well, you kind of had
I
to.
wasn't going to mess around with her rules.
Random was the worst rule
Her
ever.
Stupid
Whoever
rules.
came up with that just... Ugh.
I know. They're horrible.
It's just so mean.
I don't actually own any Triple Triad cards.
But we have played Triple Triad at our events.
We have. Yeah, our events we had Triple Triad cards that were made from Magic cards, which is quite good. But yeah. Yeah, I thought that the seed thing was very cool.
I just like the fact that it was kind of... Well, I know that Final Fantasy games in general have had that like everyone's been like teenagers, young adults, like early 20s. Final Fantasy VIII was basically military school children. Yeah. And they kind of... the story made sense from the perspective. It wasn't like suddenly they were these people that... Like Tidus, for example, in Final Fantasy X. Like, he has no combat training whatsoever. Orin just give him a sword and suddenly he's like some magical wizard with combat. Like, how does he suddenly become this massive person who's able to fight alongside guardians who have been doing it for like ages? That doesn't make any sense. Whereas in Final Fantasy VIII, like, they're all extremely combat ready. At the beginning, you're doing their kind of entry exam into like full-on Seed, which is like a massive military conflict organization. So it's like the first one really where the combat prowess of the cast of characters actually made sense as a general thing. Like in Final Fantasy VII, obviously Cloud is combat ready, but the other ones, like, I mean, it's a bit suspect to say the least. I mean, you got Sid, who's a rocket mechanic, suddenly is a dab hand with like becoming a dragoon. I don't know how that happens. Like Vincent's obviously like well trained, but like a lot of the other ones, I mean, Barrett just fires his gun, so it's kind of cheating. But like the Final Fantasy VIII's character, like the narrative made sense to me. Like it wasn't just suddenly like, I mean, like Garnet and stuff. Like in Final Fantasy IX, like they just, I don't know. It just felt like it was the most natural in terms of like the characters, and it made sense that they actually had the abilities that they had, and like the way the hierarchy worked as well, because it's the whole thing. Like Zell always comes across as inferior to like Squall and Tifa. Like those two are like the powerful members of your party. And Selphie as well. Like she's not, like, obviously towards the end of the game you can make them all pretty much the same. But like as you're playing through, like there's different strengths and weaknesses between the different characters.
I actually didn't. Somebody said a while ago about the Final Fantasy IX card game. I didn't play it because it was still in that phase.
Master.
It was still in that phase where I just didn't do anything in the games. I just kind of played Final Fantasy games and got through the story. I didn't really do any of the extra stuff. So I actually never played Tetramaster.
And yeah, Type 0 is military children as well.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing. Like the fact that they're good at combat makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And Type 0 is good. Oh, Fisherman's Horizon, that whole like song. Oh, the song of that area is so good. And hearing that in like Distant Worlds as well was just so gorgeous.
There always is some upbeat character, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'd say that Zell's kind of upbeat, happy, and positive as well. Like he tries his best. And Irvine has his moments as well. I think like Renault is actually really upbeat and like Final Fantasy VIII, apart from Squall, is pretty upbeat and positive.
To be honest, most Final Fantasy games kind of follow the same sort of cast of characters. It's almost like a sort of Greek type of comedy type thing, where like, you know, each game has that sort of rugged hero or sort of unexpected maybe hero, where you have like Cloud, Squall, Zidane, Titus, and then you always have an ingenue, whether it's Aerith or Tifa or Renoa or Garnet or Yuna, and then you have the wise woman. So you have Freya or Lulu, Quistis. You could also maybe count Tifa in Final Fantasy VII as well.
The wise woman.
The wise woman, yeah.
I would say GHJ. Fair point of Final Fantasy VI. I can't really dispute that. Most of the people do have considerable training.
Yeah. Oh, I do like Final Fantasy VI.
I like someone mentioned earlier, I think it might have been you actually, Lewis, about the Final Fantasy VIII's humor, and like it was a game that took itself seriously but not too seriously as well. Like Laguna's leg cramps and like Quistis' fan club and like all these like silly things that happen.
What's it called? Irvine's nudie magazine that he gives. I still remember just bursting out laughing when that happened.
And like even to me, like the story, it was serious, but it wasn't that serious because it was like they are still kind of school kids. Like they're finding their feet in the world, and like, and that was the whole thing. Like their rival is Sifa, who's basically the same. Like he's not serious, and it was only like when the Odin moment happens when you're just like, okay, this is actually getting serious now. Like I need to start.
Oh, bye, hero. But yeah, no, and I loved the interactions with Fujin and Raijin. Like they were actually sort of developed characters. You know. And
that was Zone, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And it's crazy how you remember those characters, whereas like, you know, some of the other games you just can't.
I don't remember most of the side characters in Final Fantasy 12 for the life of me. I can't.
I think their names are too hard. Their names I find are too
okay, so some of the ones I
difficult.
remember are like so you got Jules, who's like Balthier's mate, and I think he becomes a character in Revenant Wings as well. Like old Dalan in Rabanasta, but like yeah, the older characters I just for some reason I just remember really well. I don't know, because you don't really interact with them anymore, or less. Like
Yeah.
the sequence with the Timberwolves in reality is like an hour or two,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah.
And like once you do go with the train, you never see them
But I
again.
also still remember that boss because I turned
The
off.
train.
Yeah, the false president. I had to switch the TV to the TV instead and just play blind because I was too scared to look at the president. I didn't like him. I thought he was really creepy. He was really unsettling. I didn't like him at all.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So if I lost, I would have to just try it again.
Poor young Lauren. Although you
But
probably
I
still
didn't
be the
realize
same now.
that. I didn't realize that with Fujin. That's quite cool, actually. That she always just spoke in kanji. I just like the fact that she always had one-word answers, and that was a nice thing about the translation between the two. Is the fact that like she sort of kept part of her uniqueness.
And the fact that like they were like Sifa's fan club.
Yeah.
And like it was all just like they were all part of the same class, and they just had this little dispute that was going on the whole time. But it was a dispute that was they were fighting each other with real weapons, but they didn't really know why.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, I guess we've got to fight against you because Sifa told us to.
Yeah. I know. I just love them, and the fact that like you're fighting them after they've just had like massive food poisoning as well, because they ate all the fish, I think.
Yeah. Marcus, come on, like what you gotta elaborate on that. What was bad about the combat system?
And what's convoluted about the story? It's like it's a love story.
Lewis, can you kill him with like a curative or something? Is he one of the Phoenix Down bosses?
This is Jiro. I can't feel my body because one half is twice the size of the other. Oh wait, hold on. It's does anybody know the phone answering machines, the message machines for Final Fantasy VIII? Somebody's done like this massive thing online ages ago.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's just great. It's so great. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I love the one for Laguna where it's just like, hello, well, I know this is an answering machine, but I'd like to ask you for questions to get to know you better. So what about, I like kittens. Do you like kittens? I think kittens are wonderful.
But yeah, Aqualta, like, I kind of get what you're saying, but there's no different from grinding. Like, yeah, you can sit in a battle and draw magic, but how's that any different from just constantly spamming EXP or grinding AP or anything else?
With Final Fantasy XII, you can literally let the game play itself. Like, you can leave. You can play and try and fight Yzmat, and you can walk away from the TV. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, to me, that's not playing a game. That's just running a program. And just
Final Fantasy XII's combat is extremely great, but like I basically haven't even had to think about doing anything since I set my gambits up.
Yeah. Like it's just about what you. I mean, it's about what you prefer, really. But I don't think it was a bad system, really. I mean, I've sort of done one in the past for a live action cast, but it's hard because like I would want to cast Japanese actors, and I honestly don't know any Japanese that many Japanese actors in order
No.
to cast
All I
it.
know is that they just all play the same people.
Mm.
And Marcus, that actually did annoy the crap out of me, but it's not as bad as you make it sound. Like the monsters, the enemies only have 3 tiers of difficulty, so you will still get a sense of scale as you level up. It was just to like, because I think they started to become aware of the fact that people used to do challenges. So there was like the no EXP challenge and all that kind of stuff, and I think they wanted to make it so that you could feasibly do that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you literally just go around in your little regalia and that'd be done.
But yeah, I enjoyed the junction system. Like I did my drawing. I mean, this is the thing. Earlier in the game, you can sit there, and I seem to remember drawing off caterpillars like right outside Balam Garden, but it doesn't level you up that, like, it doesn't make you that much stronger to do so. It's only when you get later on in the game where you're running around grinding draw points on the map instead of fighting enemies on the map.
And to be honest, I get no satisfaction out of grinding. I find it the worst part about like JRPGs, which is funny because JRPGs do rely a heavy amount on grinding, but it's honestly the most annoying thing. Just give me my story. I will do anything else aside from grind. Oh, I hate grinding. I hate it. I love the story.
Renoa Augustin, Renoa did also have limit break spam. Lucky Star from Angelo was a multi-hit move. I think that was one of the more powerful limit breaks. I seem to remember it's Irvine's limit break, then Zell's, then Squall's, then Renoa's. Quistis, kind of lame. Selfies is not that great unless you get the end, but doesn't work on everything.
I just don't like. My worst experience was when I was playing through Final Fantasy X and I got stuck on the Bevel Guardian, and I literally had nowhere else to grind except for the airship, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, this is horrible.
But like all Final Fantasy games have some kind of obligatory grinding.
Yeah.
Like you can't, if you literally just try and go through the game like
start to finish,
playing
it's
naturally,
a lot harder.
And you don't, and you actively try to avoid random battles whenever you can, you'll get to a point where you can't progress anymore. Like it's just like, and I think it's just when I was younger, I didn't necessarily care. Now I care. Like I hate grinding. Yeah. That's why the Zodiac Age putting that ×4 thing is amazing for me, because I can grind a little bit. Like 5 minutes is like grinding 20 minutes. Like it's so much nicer and more convenient. But it's why I never really got on with the Tales games, because
Adele was really hard.
You have to grind so much in the Tales games.
I found Adele hard, but I also found like the monsters on the spaceship really hard.
I seem to remember having to grind some parts of Final Fantasy IX. But then I never had to grind in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Like the only thing, like I spent like, I don't know, like 20 minutes drawing stuff from the island close to heaven and hell, but other than that I never really felt like I needed to grind.
But then like with Final
Apart
Fantasy...
from when like I wanted to do like the ending boss, like the first time I did that, I think I was maybe, I did max out my characters to fight Ultimacia. And then I realized that she starts pulling in other characters.
That's what you always do, isn't it? You mix whatever Riku has in her lovely little box of tricks, and then you hope to God that it will work, and a lot of times it does. I always hated it when I was hoping that it would be like something is I would mix two things together and I'm like, this seems like it would be effective against people and it might kill people, and then I would throw it and then it would just like heal me or something, and I'm just like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
The propagators.
Oh, they're horrible. They are so scary. But like with Final Fantasy IX, like, I mean, you would have to grind if you were trying to go up against something like Ozma. Is that his name? Yeah, Ozma.
I mean, Final Fantasy IX's system is also completely different because it was like the hardest boss has like 65,000 health. Like
Yeah,
it
which
was
is nothing.
it was a very different type of system compared to all the other ones where it's all about let's just spam HP and all this crap.
But there were some parts in Final Fantasy IX that I did not like playing.
See,
like
Alex.
bye Alex. Like when Garnet goes into silent mode and then like you basically don't have a white mage for like the longest time. That was so annoying.
Yeah, it's just like RPGs is just one of those things. Like you can, because that's the thing. The junctioning system actually gave you a lot of flexibility to not need to grind in some ways, because you could enhance different stats, or you could make yourself immune to certain things. You could enhance your like elemental stuff if you
That's
needed to.
what I liked about it.
And you could just do it on the fly. Like you didn't have to go out and get equipment to do certain things. You could just say, well, this I want to put fire on my weapon. Great, you can do it straight away. Just assign all the fire spells you have. Like it had pros and cons, and it was very different from anything that had come before, definitely. But I never really saw a problem with it.
I do need to play 9 again though, because I haven't played it in a while. I haven't played it since the first time I played it. I don't think.
What?
9.
No, I've only ever played it once.
I've only ever played it once. But then I just didn't like it. Like, that's the thing. And that's where it all comes down to. It's all of our preferences. I mean, the game that I played the most, if you want to go by that, like, Final Fantasy X is the game that I've played the most, because I just find it the most enjoyable to play.
You haven't been complaining, Aqualter. It's discussion. That's the whole point.
Yeah, it's discussion. It's good. But like, yeah, like Final Fantasy X is the one I've played the most, and I find the most enjoyable experience to play over and over again. I've only played Final Fantasy VIII twice. Like I've only done that twice.
Which character do you most relate to, Lauren? I think we should make it interesting and ask us which character we think the other one relates to.
Oh, okay. I think. Well, you find it funny, but. I think you relate to Squall quite a bit.
Whatever.
Yeah. You do give off a Squall vibe.
Yeah, I do have a very much.
You're more positive.
Leave me the hell alone.
You're more positive than Squall.
Born leader.
Yes. Logical. I mean, in some ways, you could be a bit like Quistis as well.
I fraternize with my students.
Well, I am younger than you.
It's true. I feel like you've got a bit of the Lulu about you.
The Lulu?
Yeah.
Oh wait, are we going from any game?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I presume so. That.
Well, who from 8?
Who from 8?
Yeah.
Renoa. You just Renoa.
Oh, am I that annoying? No, kidding.
The positivity and.
I'm so positive all the time. I never complain.
Hey, if I'm being a bit of a brat like Squall is, you would kick my ass.
Yeah, it's true. Favorite track from 8, I think I sort of said, like, I mean, I really like Man with the Machine Gun, or sorry, well, I like Man with the Machine Gun, yeah. But maybe I'm lying.
Just list every track, you like them all.
The Successor is probably my favorite, though, of all time.
I still don't know what my favorite 8 track would be.
But in terms of the rest of the series, who would you relate to the most? I'd probably still say Squall, but let me think. Let me just think about all the other characters that we got.
This makes for good.
People are saying that you're like Squall too. Good.
I am?
Yeah.
Why does everyone think I'm like Squall? Is it because I've now got sticking up hair? Because Lauren just rubbed my kill. Wait, who has sticky up hair?
Alfalfa.
No, he's not in Final Fantasy series.
It's Cloud.
It's true, but yeah, I guess.
I don't want to be Cloud.
No,
Ignis.
my favorite track from Final Fantasy VIII is The Landing.
Yeah. Okay. So the whole of Final Fantasy, if I had to say that one relates to you, it's Ignis.
Is that because I'm
Ignis.
English?
Yes, it
Not,
might
I'm
be.
not. I'm not Balthier. I'm not the leading man.
No, you're Ignis. Because you're not that. You're not
Ignis
that
is
like.
very reserved.
Yeah, you're very reserved, and you're not as crazy flirtatious as Balthier is.
He tones down as the game goes on.
The clever wordplay. Oh, Rain. I do love Rain. I wish she had more in the story, but I do like what she has.
There is no Chocobo in Final Fantasy 1.
There isn't, actually. Force Your Way is a good one. Daryl's like Jacked. Are you like Jacked?
I'm gonna beat our child.
What?
I'm just gonna make them feel inadequate every moment, and then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna spend more time hanging out with me, and then our child is gonna resent me because of that.
Yeah, until he finds out one day that actually the dad was not that bad.
True story.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually a mom that was terrible. It was actually me.
You're gonna be a terrible mom, as predicted by our chat. Great.
Yeah. Everybody's saying about Terra.
Right on.
Yeah, go Terra.
Wait, that's who they most relate to.
Yep,
You relate to Ryoko Taro.
I do. Oh, if I could not give the Fs that Taro does not give.
Zachary Lyons, welcome, my man.
We are talking about some of the music from Final Fantasy VIII, yes.
How have things been? Good, I hope.
Oh, Julia. It's so sad with her. It's like, damn it, she just gets into, like, a car accident and dies. It's just so sad.
No one's gonna beat their children. Alright?
We don't beat children.
She beats me.
She does. Look, Daryl got an injury today from Allie.
I got clawed.
Allie likes to go to your face and pinch it really hard, and she dug her nails into Daryl's face.
I have war wounds.
Yeah, she headbutts me
Well,
constantly.
doesn't Jekt have a scar on his face as well?
I don't know, maybe.
Look it up. I'm pretty sure he does.
But yeah, no, she constantly.
No, he's got a
tries
big
to-
scar on his chest.
She does. No,
Or
he
does he?
does have a scar on his face.
I knew it.
Oh, Daryl Zach, your hero. Yep,
See, look,
he
it's
does.
on his cheek as well.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. Spoiler warning. Daryl's. But yeah.
Oh, I think our stream's dying.
Oh no.
I feel like we need to wrap it up, Lawrence.
Yeah, we do kind of, because I'm gonna need to fall asleep soon. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm gonna.
Spam links.
Sorry. Okay.
Lauren's going to put some links into the chat. Number one, Facebook community. Join us on there. There's about 260 of us now. We talk about stuff. So if you want to talk to us on a more regular basis outside of the chat, then join it.
Oh no, I have no internet.
You have no internet.
No.
Maybe that's why it's breaking. There
Might
you go.
be. There we go.
Easy. And then Lauren's going to put a link to the Patreon as well. So if you enjoy everything that we do, from the surveys through to all the other videos, then please support us on Patreon. Actually, we're going to be working on some Patreon videos coming up that were recommended by our Patreon supporters. So that's going to be exciting. Oh, I think the camera has no. It's not even responding anymore.
Oh no.
What is going on? It's crashed. Everything is going wrong. No. Turn it back on. It's turning on.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
There we go. Back in the game. Back in the game. Yeah, we're not that great at self promotion.
Yeah, no. It's because our Sundays just go a bit crazy. We're just like, all right, let's do this. But now we can do.
I'm sorry, Zach.
I'm sorry, Zach.
Next time, next week, we'll be here.
Yes. Same time, same bat channel.
And we will try to promote the stream earlier as well as the other stuff that we do. Yeah, as I said, we're just not. Yeah.
Sundays just fly for us.
We try. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the chat about Final Fantasy VIII. Oh, and hit the like button on the video as well. Hit the like button if you're still in here. Much appreciated if you do that. But yeah, so we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, trying to type. Bye.